if all is going according to plan, and if OBS is to be trusted, we are live. Ryann Liljenstolpe, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so you're not familiar. Now, I'm about to talk about quantum physics. I want to give a disclaimer right from the beginning. I am not a physicist. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Neither am I. We are both not physicists.
If you are a physicist watching, just click off.
Mr. Chan, I'm sorry.
That being said, so if you like looking up things about science that will make you, quote, question your place in the universe,
yes,
and you're gonna have to reconsider everything that you thought about fundamentally how the universe and matter and energy work.
Yes.
So let me try to give a layman's explanation of the double slit experiment.
Okay.
You have a piece of paper or something,
okay,
and you have two little slits drawn into it. Mm-hmm. You take an X-Acto knife, you draw one slit and one right next to each other.
Yeah.
Then, and these are really tiny, you shine a laser through it. Now, how light works, or how we think light works, is that it's particles, energized particles that go forward, and a laser is this very focused beam of light, so these particles are just zooming straight forward.
Yeah.
So if you were to shoot a bunch of particles at two little slits in a wall, then some of the ping pong balls would get through, but most of them would just bounce off.
Yeah.
And then if the ping pong balls had wet paint on them, and there was another wall outside of this wall, some of the ping pong balls that get through the little slits in the wall would leave a little splatter of paint.
Yeah.
If you toss enough ping pong balls through those two little slits and they land on the wall, you'll get what looks like those two slits, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just shooting these particles forward.
It creates an impression.
That's not what happens. They shoot light, which as far as science understands is a particle, and it creates an interference pattern. You've got like a tiny little slit, and then a bigger, darker slit, a bigger slit, a bigger slit, and it looks like a wave. Now, if you were to shine a wave through that same double slit, it would make what we expect, which is an interference pattern. We've got two waves that interact with each other.
Right.
Sort of like if you've ever seen a waveform of just a sine wave going doo, and then you go doo, and then you play the two things together, it like ripples up the sound waves.
Right.
We would expect to see that interference pattern, but we see it with light, which as far as we know, all of science and whatever Einstein said and et cetera, we know it's a particle. So scientists did this and they were confused by this.
Right.
So they decided, let's get our little, I don't actually know how they observe it, but it's like some sort of electron viewing device. And let's watch these little electron particles, which that's what light is, go through the slits. Because why would they be making an interference pattern? That implies that they're moving like a wave, which makes no sense.
Totally.
So they observe it, and they see a bunch of little particles going straight through the slits, and it makes just a normal double slit impression. They think, okay, there's something wrong with the way we're observing it. But scientists have been working for years to isolate some sort of flaw in the observation system, and the generally agreed upon conclusion is that the mere act of consciously observing the particles actually going through the double slit changes the result and changes the way they behave.
So the act of observing it, like not the phenomenon itself?
Yes. Basically, if we know what's going on, that changes what's actually happening. You've got a camera on the wall in the back where you can see the interference pattern, and then you switch on the electron viewer, and then the interference pattern in real time immediately changes to a normal double slit impression.
Dude. The universe knows.
Yeah.
The universe knows. All of this context, all of this, like, started because, first of all, we were talking about astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Astrology.
She's figured out a way to wind it back to astrology, folks.
We weren't recording that part. Astrology is absolutely, I don't believe in it legitimately, but for the aesthetic, it's so much fun. And Frank does not understand this because he doesn't understand how you could knowingly perform pseudoscience. And then we started talking about if we knocked a planet off of its orbit just a little bit, if we changed it, would it affect like the whole universe.
Would it affect astrology, right?
Would it affect
the position
astrology
of the planet, if you read your horoscope, it says, well, Jupiter is right here and Venus is right here.
Wait, let me see what my co-star said today. I love this. It's so funny. You're so annoyed. Oh, your day at a glance. Don't let anyone gaslight you. Thanks. There go my plans.
I know lamp shading. What's gaslighting?
Wait, what's lamp shading?
Lamp shading is a writing term where if you have a flaw in your story, like let's just say, for example, your protagonist, supposedly sympathetic protagonist, is completely unlikable.
Right.
Lamp shading is giving a little nod to the audience that tells you, hey, we know that this is poorly written. We just don't care.
Oh, okay.
So that's like it's a cop-out way to show self-awareness. It's almost like if you're writing something, you're absolving yourself of blame for a bad story, but you're not actually
you're not taking responsibility.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I know it's bad, but...
But I'm still cool because at least I'm like you. I can tell it's bad.
I'm cool because I can tell it's bad. Well, gaslighting is a term that it basically means when you tell someone that what they're feeling is not real or legitimate. It started as like a term for domestic abuse when it would be like, you're like hurting me. Why are you saying this to me? And then they turn it around and they're like, you're just being silly. You're just being stupid. Like, you're being irrational.
Pause. So your horoscope told you don't let anyone gaslight you today. Does that imply that other days you're supposed to be more relaxed on letting people gaslight you?
I don't know. That's why it's so
if tomorrow is like, it's still annoying if someone tells you your feelings aren't legitimate, but like it's kind of okay?
I know. Because it's like, oh yeah, every other day I'm like, yeah. I mean, my feelings are open to interpretation by you. You can say if they're legitimate or not. But on this one specific day, I'm going to hold my ground. No.
I know exactly what I'm feeling.
It's ridiculous. You should... But that's like... I love seeing those things and being like, that's so strange. Okay. And then going about my day. It's entertaining to me.
Things. I just don't like wrong things.
Strange things. Well, I mean, I guess. But to me, it's not so much a wrong thing as it is just a sort of like, because when you sign up for that, like you put your birth and all this stuff in the app, I don't feel like a lot of people expect for it to be a thing that like knows you, because that would imply that there's some like omniscient force that's within the app that actually understands your life. Well, I don't think anyone thinks that.
Yeah.
Like, so to me, I don't know. I guess it is a wrong thing. But to me, it's more about the strangeness of it.
I guess I just don't see the appeal of the quote-unquote aesthetic. Or maybe I haven't dived into it enough. I haven't really decided, you know what? I have looked on pro astrology literalist websites though.
Oh.
It is hilarious.
Oh my god.
Where they're like, if you've seen the video of James Randi debunking astrologers, here's why that debunking is actually false.
Of course.
And they refute the
debunkers.
Yeah, they refute the common arguments against astrology.
Dude.
Like, and the website looks like it was designed in 2001. It's totally awesome. Oh my god.
That's incredible. See, like that's I love the like debate for the sake of debating, because everyone knows. Well, I think most people know.
Yeah.
Deep down.
Except for some of the people on that. I mean, people believe all sorts of stuff.
The people who are refuting that
yeah.
are definitely. Well, yeah. I mean, if people can be like, there are definitely some opinions that people have that are like so completely like flat earthers.
Yeah. Well, okay.
How? Oh.
I'm.
Oh no. What have I done?
I don't know. I'm sick of the incredible amount of attention that flat earthers get.
Right.
It's kind of interesting to me because I'm not super well versed in conspiracy theories, but I know my way around that realm.
Right.
There are tons of totally ridiculous ones.
Totally.
And of all of them, flat earthers, it's like, you know how people say, oh, Billie Eilish is an industry plant. I think flat earthers are an industry plant for conspiracy theories because
probably
like mass media news outlets always talk about flat earthers and like, oh, look how stupid these people are. And it's on like mainstream news all the time. And all the other crazy conspiracy theories never get that type of attention.
Right.
And maybe it just like rode the wave of the zeitgeist and caught itself in this little spiral of popularity, and it was all by chance.
Yeah.
But it really seems like this manufactured, not necessarily manufactured, but I think that a lot of people who make these publications and stuff like that just found something that's really stupid that they're smart enough to not believe in, and they want to share that with everyone. It's like, look how stupid these people are. At least we're not that dumb.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, it's kind of like a comfort in the like massive just shitstorm that is reality and the world and like what people actually think, because the like wave of anti-science sentiment that has like come out in kind of recent years, it's crazy, because people think that they see a Facebook post that says that vaccines cause autism and they like share that like they're super smart, and it's completely fake. And I just don't understand when people are like, the science
Maybe they just
wrong.
are into the aesthetic.
I'm smart.
Maybe anti-vaxxers are just in it because they like it. I don't know. I just like those Facebook memes with impact white text with the black outline.
Oh my god.
Talking about the
like,
correlation between autism diagnosis and X vaccine. I just like looking at it, and I love the strangeness of it.
Oh, I love the strangeness of it. Polio is supposed to make you really skinny. Polio is the latest crash diet. It's circulating around the Facebook mom marketplace. It's just like, oh, you don't want your kids to be fat? Then they'll die.
Yeah.
Just have them die. Don't get them vaccinated.
I mean, I'd rather succumb to the Black Plague than autism. I don't know about you.
It's crazy. Like, dude, if you love your child,
yeah,
why would you care more about them having autism, which is, you know, a spectrum that everyone can live a fully fulfilled and happy life, you know, while still being autistic. Like, it's not a... You know,
there's a lot of debate. There are a lot of autistic people who would say, no, having autism sucks, and I really wish I didn't have it. But...
Well, yeah, that's with everything.
Yeah.
That's with everything.
Yeah, obviously, if we say it's the old Penn and Teller bullshit segment where, okay, let's just say 1 in 100 vaccinated kids get autism.
Right.
That's impossible because of how many kids get vaccines and how few of them actually are autistic.
Yeah.
But let's just say, for example, well, these are the diseases that we know that the vaccines are preventing. Would you rather 1 in 100 get autism, or 25 of them get X disease, 10 of them get X disease, and et cetera, et cetera?
It's insane. Because now in, like, cities like Portland and Seattle, there are, like, epidemics where, you know, schools are, like, shut down because all of these kids have, like, the mumps. Like,
I want to bring back the Black Death so bad. They've got like, dude, a vial of it somewhere in Colorado or Switzerland or something.
Yeah, well, with all of the, like, nostalgia obsession of, like, culture right now.
Yeah, I had Andreas on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I think he'd really appreciate a first-hand look into the medieval times.
Oh, he would love it.
If we just get that little test tube and we go...
Little bloop. Dink, dink. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah. Here, hey, come here, little rat. Come here, little lab rat. Here, have this.
Here, have this. Okay, now be free.
Yeah, now bite me and be free.
Bite me and then be free.
Yeah, look at this. I rubbed some peanut butter on my finger. Now take a nice big bite.
Take a nice chomp, a nice little nibble, have a little
snack.
snack.
It cuts into the blood.
Make sure it cuts into the blood. And then you can go. You go have fun. Go infect all the other people.
Yeah, for the sake of 1/3 of the population dying, I'm willing to be the first. You know?
That is, like, so brave of you.
I know. All these people they want to cause massive horrific epidemics on all of humanity, but then they want to be the ones who are still around.
Yeah, they want to survive.
That's so selfish.
If you can't commit to your projects, then why do you start them?
Yeah, it's like if you don't want to die, don't you think that all those other people don't want to die either? You have to put yourself in their shoes.
I know. The supervillain mentality is like, oh, like, I want to see all these people die, but like, for the science.
Yeah,
but
the people who die don't
I'm not
get to
willing
see
to
all the
experiment.
people die.
Yeah. Come on, share. That's like so selfish that you won't like share and getting to see all the people die. I don't know. I'm not making sense anymore.
Neither am I.
It's fine. We're fine.
It's fine. Neither are the Facebook memes about vaccinations.
No, it makes no sense. And the flat earthers, they're like, well, I went up in an airplane and I couldn't see the curve, so
Yeah.
checkmate, scientists.
I've just always wanted to do that, and what the heck am I saying? My point is that the bit that I would do would be flat earthers are so stupid. Can't we all agree that at least we're not stupid like flat earthers?
Haha. Yes. Aha. Turn to
always-
the face next to your face and tell them,
Yeah.
at least we are not as stupid as flat earthers.
And then the one kid in the class is actually a flat earther and has to just like employ their acting skills.
Just like, yeah,
Yeah.
the earth is
At least I'm not as
round.
stupid as
At least I'm not as stupid as flat earthers.
the earth is
Anything.
totally round,
Earth
obviously.
is totally round. There's totally not like a secret society of lizard people living on the other side. I mean, did I say side? What?
They're not living on the other side, they're living among us. They just have really good disguises.
Well, there's a whole like what is on the other side? I'm sure people who know more about flat Earth
You're talking about
conspiracy
what's
theories.
beyond the Antarctica wall?
Yeah. The Antarctica wall, yeah. Go off.
If the Earth is flat like a pancake, Antarctica is like a big perimeter around Earth.
Right.
And so you're asking what's beyond that? Mm-hmm. I think space. The idea...
But if
You already believe the Earth is flat. Why do you still like do science beyond that?
wait, but there's just no other side. There's no other side.
Oh, you mean the
Like, goes
bottom?
on- Yeah, the bottom.
Yeah, I don't think so because the
Wait,
flat
I
Earth,
don't think so. What is
the flat
you
Earth,
don't think what?
No, the flat Earth argument for gravity
Mm-hmm.
is that there is no the idea is that gravity makes massive enough objects converge into spheres because if something has enough mass, then it attracts other things with large mass, and
Right.
then the most efficient way that all
They
comes together is
compress
a
because
sphere.
they want to be
Yeah.
stable.
So if the Earth
Sphere
is
is
flat,
the most stable shape.
yeah, if the
Thanks,
Earth
Mrs. Tar.
if the Earth is flat, then gravity, as we understand it, can't exist. So what they're
Right.
saying is that the Earth is just like thrusting, just going really fast upward, just going, and we're being pushed down by like the G-force. Imagine if you were on a giant pancake and it just got tossed in the air, you would like kind of splat down and be like, whoa!
Oh my god. Wait, what do they think like G-force means or stands for?
I don't think G-force has to do with gravity. I could be wrong about that, but
I could be too, but
because if you're in the International Space Station, it's 0 G, but it's not 0 gravity. Obviously, there's gravity. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to orbit the Earth.
right.
So, like weightlessness is a different phenomenon than just no gravity.
This episode
you heard
of the
about-
podcast is just like two people who know very little about science
Yeah, trying to-
talk about science.
Yeah, it's like trying to put together a Lego set without the instruction booklet or the picture of it, so you know how
Like
it looks.
putting together IKEA furniture and you're like,
Yeah.
well, this looks like it should be a leg.
You just know it's a chair, but beyond that, no. But have you heard of the like No Gravity Day? So there's a conspiracy theory that is someday I forget the exact date, in 1976, everyone became weightless and there was no gravity for one day. And there are accounts of people who've experienced this. Now, someone who's more deep into this conspiracy theory would probably have a good answer for me, but how did everyone stay on Earth? If there was zero gravity day, everything would leave.
Everything. Well, yeah. Well, it
Like,
would.
it's not like you just get 15 feet up in the atmosphere and then you're floating.
Yeah, well, because as soon as you take a step, you would just kind of like keep going.
Yeah, you just
'Cause
keep going.
Objects at rest will stay at rest, but the ones that get put in motion will just keep going if there's no gravity
And
to
also,
like stop it.
if there's no gravity, then the Earth, as we discussed earlier, would stop being a sphere. There are a lot of problems with this
Which way
conspiracy
would it?
Theory.
Wait, oh, yeah.
So if gravity-
the Earth would stop being a sphere.
Yeah, if gravity just
would just-
suddenly didn't exist, I don't know what the Earth would look like. I guess it would just sort of fizz out.
Or because there are faults underneath the like surface of Earth.
Yeah, but
and so would those just like kind of peel off?
well, if Earth were the size of an apple, the land, like the crust land on Earth would be the thickness of an apple skin.
Wow.
I don't think that the Earth's crust has much of a say in the actual structure of Earth.
Right.
Because under the fault lines is just a bunch of lava and magma and molten stuff.
Yeah. Because if that's all just like wiggling around, and then the Earth's crust is like, you know, sort of keeping it, I don't know, from leaking, except for well, why did I say strategically? It's not strategic at all. It's just
if we believe that God designed the Earth, then it absolutely is strategically.
There's an intelligent designer, and he was like, I want lava right there.
God made the Earth. He was like,
looks
I'm gonna make an awesome lava planet.
Dude,
and then he made this giant lava planet, but then it all kind of spilled out. It melted like an ice cream cone. And he was like, oh no, my lava is leaving. So then he had to make a hard crust to keep the lava inside.
It's like it's
actually kind of genius.
Minecraft when you're digging like straight forward underground.
Yeah.
And you just like break into just a pool of lava.
And then it starts spilling out. That's what happened on Earth 1.0. And then on patch 1.1, God added the crust.
God added the crust to make sure that he wouldn't lose all of his stuff the next time you had to respawn. The original
manuscript of Genesis says. That very few people have read.
People need to rewrite the book of Genesis as Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's like,
honestly, people don't need to. People have. I guarantee.
Oh, well, probably, yeah. And the Great Flood was just like if you're carrying a bucket of water and you place it accidentally and now there's water everywhere. And you have to spend a bunch of buckets to get it out. Anyways, Minecraft is not science.
Whoa, hold on just a second. Why is it taught in schools then?
The Minecraft class in middle school.
Remember that big push to have Minecraft be a part of school curriculum by a bunch of 9-year-olds who just wanted to play video games, but they're like, it's educational.
Yeah. Well, that's like the people in my engineering class in real life.
Are you saying that the people in your engineering class don't exist?
I'm saying that they play like Minecraft all class.
You said in real life, so I thought you meant
you
walk out of class, you're like, okay, bye guys, you turn around to see them and they're all gone. You're like, whoa.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if I was dreaming this whole thing. My dreams are really realistic and very normal. So sometimes I dream things that like actually didn't happen and it seems so much like real life that I wake up the next morning and I'm like, yeah. So like about
I have
what
totally normal dreams too. where I've had a couple of things where it's been 2 p.m. and I finally I have to deduce and pick apart little minutia in the dream that doesn't add up in order to finally convince myself, no, that didn't happen.
So you can lucid dream?
I have lucid dreamed before. I've never like.
I want to lucid dream so bad.
Well, I've got a little bit of a crazy lucid dreaming story.
Oh.
It has to do with space too. This is all tying together. So
just two people who know nothing about science and space talking about science and space.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go.
I was 8 years old and I had this dream.
Okay.
And what happened was me and my dad and my younger sister Clara were chilling at our house and we get a knock at the door. We open it up and it's some representatives of NASA.
Okay.
And they say, hey, we're preparing a manned Mars mission and we want you 3 to be the first people on Mars. And I'm like, wait. No one's ever been to Mars before. They're like, yeah, you're going to be the first people on Mars? And I'm like, so wait, if I step out of the spaceship first, am I the first person on Mars? And they're like, yes, Frank, you are. And I'm just ecstatic.
Right.
I'm so excited I get to be the first person on Mars. So we load up into the spaceship. It's like, all right, the 10, 9, 8, 7. I'm like oriented. I'm sitting, but I'm facing up towards the sky.
Right, you're like fully.
Yeah, the
like
smoke envelops that little peninsula off of Florida, and we go up and we're headed to Mars, and because it's a dream, what would be many week-long trip takes like 15 seconds.
Right.
And then we touch down on the Martian surface, and I like push my sister out of the way so that I get to be the first person on Mars. And
I love that for you.
I get down on there. I'm in my I'm actually not in a spacesuit. This is a dream. So
Right.
I'm just like,
You're like in jeans.
no oxy, yeah, just t-shirt and jeans.
to
Somehow there's
go on
oxygen
to
in the
Mars.
atmosphere. It's like 70 degrees outside. I don't know how that works.
It's like a nice day.
Yeah. And I get up there and I'm just observing the Martian landscape. Like, wow, I'm the first person on Mars. This is what
So
it looks
sick.
like. It's amazing. And then
So
I see
sick.
something in the distance. There's a house.
Oh, and you're like,
It's like some normal, it's like suburban house, but it's not a suburban house in the idea that it's a suburb. It's just completely barren Martian red desert, and then one house.
One house.
Just out in the distance. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was supposed to be the first person on Mars. There better not be any people in this house.
were there people in the house?
So I go over to the house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad and my sister and I, we all go to the house, and we like knock on the door, and this mom and her son, who was about my age, open the door. They're like, "Hey, how you guys doing? You came to Mars too?" And I'm just fuming mad. Like, who are these people?
Who
I
are-
was told that I was going to be the first person on Mars, and so I started grilling this kid who's like about my age, maybe a little bit younger. I'm like,
Right.
"How long have you been living here?" He goes, "A couple years." I'm like, what? How long? And I'm like, how? He's like, oh, through NASA. They sent us up to be like, test subjects. We're the first people on Mars. We've just been chilling here. We're living here. I'm like, no, you're not. Yes, we are. We are official. NASA selected me and my mom to be the first people on Mars. Not you. You are the third person on Mars. And I'm like, this is
Third place.
third place. I may as well
Third.
be 7.5 billionth place.
Oh my god.
But then I think, wait a minute. I'm here on Mars, no spacesuit. It's like 70 degrees outside. What if I'm dreaming?
you were like, wait,
Yeah.
I don't have to be sad. Because
It's all
I'm
a dream.
dreaming.
Yeah. So I turn to this kid and I'm like, ha, I've got you. I'm going to one-up you with that. You actually don't exist. I'm
Oh
dreaming
my
right now.
God.
Beat that.
Oh my
and
god.
he goes, no, you're not dreaming. Like, yes, I am. And then I remember, because my dad's lucid dreamed before, and when I was a little kid, I used to be really like interested. I'm still interested in the idea. I just don't have the time to dedicate any thought to it.
Right.
But back then, I like asked him about dreamings and how to tell if you're in a dream and stuff. And he told me that if you're ever in a dream and there's some sort of sign or thing with words on it, if you look at that sign and then you look away from it and then you look back, and if the words on it have changed, that means you're in a dream.
Okay.
It's not a digital screen. It's like there's a road sign,
Right.
and it changes. That can't happen in real life, but that
No.
almost always happens in dreams.
Oh.
Conveniently, right in their backyard, there's this big road sign with a bunch of text on it, and I'm like, aha! I'm going to prove to you that this is a dream. Watch this. I'm going to look at it, and then I'm going to look back, and then I'm going to look at it again, and it's going to be different. So I do. I look at it. I look back. I look away from it. I look back at it, and I can see the original text fading into the other text, like like the default iMovie transition.
Default iMovie. It's like,
And I'm- Yeah,
do.
I'm like, bingo! I've just proven that this is a dream. There's no way that could ever happen in real life.
Checkmate.
You are not, because now I'm not even concerned about being the first person on Mars. I just don't want this kid to be the first person on
Right.
Mars. You're not the first person on Mars. He's like, yes, I am. That's actually secret government technology that was developed to make these ordinary looking road signs be able to change the text.
Sure.
This isn't a dream.
Sure.
He refuted
That's-
my way of figuring out how to tell if it's a dream.
Because it's your own brain.
So then something happens in the dream.
The
and
only
later,
one who can outsmart
Yeah.
Frank is Frank.
So like my dad and the mom are like talking about stuff like, so how's life on Mars? Like my dad's pretty chilled out about it. He doesn't
Right.
really care
He's
about
not
being
mad.
the first person. He was already after me and Clara.
Right.
And so we're inside the house. I corner this kid. I'm like, look, I know that you gave me this cute story about how the government secretly invented technology to specifically refute my way of telling whether or not it's a dream. But I need you to be extra clear with me. Is this a dream or not? And then he gets all scared. He looks around. He's like, okay, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone that I told this to you. This is actually a dream. And I'm like, what? I didn't expect him to say that. He's like, the government told me not to make you guys think that this is real life, but you're actually dreaming right now.
Oh my god.
So I'm getting these conflicting arguments. Let's break this down for a second. We have we have this complete figment of my imagination. We have a character that was made up by me that only exists in my brain.
Right.
I'm meeting him and he tells me that he's real.
Right.
Then he tells me that there is some outside force of people who made him tell me that he's real, even though he knows that he's actually fake.
Oh, he knows that he's fake.
So like my dream production company's studio heads are trying to fool me.
Dude.
But then one of their like one of the actors or something who maybe wasn't unionized yet, he managed to let it slip through the cracks.
Yeah. Wow.
Dude. So that's my weirdest dream.
That's like a really good one. That's insane. I've never been able to lucid dream. And all of my dreams are like they're like super normal. Most of them are just me having conversations with people that I actually know. Like it's so annoying because I will like have a dream conversation with someone and then it'll be like totally regular. Like I'll just dream that I'm hanging out with someone. Mm-hmm. And then I'll like wake up and reference our dream conversation and they'll be like, what? Like, and I dream that sometimes I can't tell if I've turned stuff in or not, because sometimes I just dream that I go to school. Like, it's so crazy. Well, I think it's because, like, I don't get a lot of anxiety dreams, but I have a lot of anxiety in real life. And so then when I, like, go to sleep, it's like, okay, it's chill time. We can just, like, hang out.
Yeah, and your brain doesn't, like, feel like putting any effort into making a story or something.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's time to relax.
And you feel like, well, wait a minute, I could have flown around. I could have, like, gone all over the world. And there are so many missed opportunities in a dream because theoretically, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had a flying dream. There was this one time when I was younger when I realized I was in a dream and I decided, oh, wait a minute, this is a dream. This is perfect. I'm going to fly. And then I like jumped up and tried to fly and then I just fell on the ground. I couldn't
you
fly.
You couldn't do it. Your brain is
My brain's like, nope, that's not how it works in real life, Frank. Nice try.
Nice try, Frank. You can go to Mars and like be Mars. Like chilling on the surface of Mars with no spacesuit, no oxygen. But like if you try to fly, like that's no.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work. I'm trying to think of like I've had one dream when I didn't know that I was in a dream. It was 100% like real to dream me. But I had a dream that me and a bunch of my friends were we were in this house in San Francisco, and the house was like the house was like it was like a townhouse, but the inside was way bigger than the outside, and it was all like none of it made sense. Like everything was like going up the walls. It wasn't like laid out like a normal house, right? And so in my dream, we were being chased. Me and like a bunch of people were being chased, but only like around this house. For some reason we couldn't like go outside. And so the adults who were chasing us couldn't do anything special, but we were like in line with the rules of the house, so we could basically run up the walls and jump and float around and like run through this endless tangling landscape with all of these people chasing us on the ground like, you darn kids, and we're like like totally like flying around. And I had no idea I was in a dream. I was like for real like terrified of being caught, and I don't know why. That's like the only kind of anxiety dreams that I get, which is weird because it's only ones where dream? Yeah, where it's like but like being physically like running for my life.
A more pretentious psychoanalyst than I would tell you why that is. And like some childhood trauma maybe.
I know. Oh, we love that. Yeah.
I don't know. There are a bunch of different theories as to why we have dreams and what they really are, and and a lot of them are really cynical. It's like, look, when you're sleeping, your brain is firing a bunch of neurons, And then when you're conscious, you try to recollect what happened and you interpret it as the story, and it just strings it together, which is so boring.
That's lame.
I want my brain to be coming up with stuff that is like psychologically interesting. And
see, maybe it's fake. Maybe the super cynical version is real, but for the aesthetic.
Well, no. See, I choose to err. Sometimes I almost err on the cynical side because it's less fun to believe, and that means in my brain, now again, this is maybe the opposite thing, but it's also pseudoscientific. It's like if it's less fun to think, then it's probably more likely to be true.
Oh no!
Just because of experience of thinking that cool things are going to happen and then getting let down enough times.
Salty.
But yeah, I've had too many dreams that are obvious metaphors.
Right.
Where you would dissect them in English class.
Yeah.
And Mr. Gentlin's like
you
trying
would
to
say,
talk to you about like how is this indirectly characterizing Frank?
Frank's dream.
Yeah, where there's no way that there like it's stuff where I suppose maybe my conscious brain recollecting those random neuron firings and coming up with some story would have some like greater fear or less specific thing that it's dealing with, and then
right.
it wants to apply that symbolically to something else. I don't think that my involuntary brain functions are that complicated. It doesn't seem like I would recollect the dream because we don't consciously think, oh, a bunch of synapses fired last night. I've got to come up with a story for it.
Oh, my synapses are really worn out. Must have had a wild night.
My problem with the cynical brain theory is that I find it hard to believe that something that's completely involuntary, like trying to recollect random neuron firings, is capable of coming up with something that has so much latent meaning.
Right.
On the other hand, maybe I'm cherry picking and I've had a bunch of complete nonsense dreams, and by probability, some of them seem to be like Freudian in some way or whatever.
Yeah.
And I pick up on those and I think, oh, okay, well that's proof that there's some sort of subconscious process going on that's processing like more broad emotions and fears and stuff.
Yeah. Well, because like I've had dreams where I'm just having a conversation with someone who is not in my life anymore, right? And I have woken up from that, and immediately, like, it doesn't take like a what was I just dreaming about? Like, I immediately knew. I thought I was still in that conversation, and then suddenly I was awake and I was like it's like trying to like process actual it might just be like our brains just sleep. Our brain is like
yeah, but then there's always
get into it.
That interim period in the morning when you're only half awake and reality only is half real. You think you might have been dreaming? Like, is that a possibility, or no? Did you just suddenly teleport into your bed from a real event? It's totally illogical, but it's possible that during that like 10-minute phase where you're not quite awake but you're not quite asleep is when the construction of the dream narrative happens.
Yeah, I guess it's just like the part that boggles my mind is how instantaneous it is. Like how your brain suddenly like can self-realize this entire story in a split second, especially when you wake up and you think you're still in the dream. You think you're like about to do something, and then you wake up and you're like
yeah. And there are other times when maybe you liked the dream, but then you can tell that you're waking up and you're like, no, eyes closed.
I've done that so many times. I need to go back in.
Yeah.
I've actually done that a couple times, actually. It's because it's like some of my dreams have been like movies where, especially I did this a lot when I was younger and I was not as tired all the time.
Those were the good old days.
Oh, the good old days. I miss when sleeping was a choice and not my brain just running out of batteries. But I would be in a dream and I would wake up and I'd be like, let's take that from the top one more time. And then I like go back to sleep and go back to a specific point in the dream and then continue it. And then the changes, well, sometimes the changes that I want would be there, and sometimes it would be a different, like, converging point of the story that I didn't expect. And I was like, wait, no.
Do you ever get, are you ever conscious and you're aware of your brain is conscious but your body's not conscious? You ever get that?
Sleep paralysis?
Sleep paralysis and just generally
No.
feeling all the neurotransmitter shut down stuff. I hate that. That
you
is
get
my
sleep paralysis?
Occasionally.
Do you see demons?
No, but it's not bad. But like I'll wake up and I won't be able to move, and I'm like, come on, move, and then I go. I think about it hard enough, and then and all the stuff
Your entire body's like,
happens. And I'm like, okay, that's over. Thank God.
Yeah, no, I never. I always like I wake up and usually the first thing I do is like.
You actually do that? You breathe in through your nose?
Yeah. I breathe in through my nose.
Ready to start the day.
No. I hate it. I want to be back asleep. If I had the excuse to be like, sorry, I can't move.
No, but I'm
tough.
deathly afraid of being conscious and not being able to move. It's scary.
Oh, true. It probably is.
Yeah.
I'm just privileged. Not having to deal with sleep paralysis, and I'm like, but wouldn't it be a cool experience?
So that's why I don't think that I've gone back to my dreams too much, because I fundamentally am very uncomfortable with the idea of falling asleep. Oh. There have been times, and it doesn't happen too much anymore, because like you said, it used to be, we have to go to bed, and now it's
go to bed.
Okay, just one more hour, and then I can finally get to bed.
Yeah.
But there have been times where I've lulled myself into staying up for hours on end awake in my bed, because I'm realizing I do not have any memory ever of falling asleep. Right?
Oh,
you remember being awake, and then you remember being asleep, and then you remember being awake.
Yeah.
But the actual process of going, I'm shutting down now.
Right.
You forget.
That was very good, by the way.
Thank you.
But yeah.
But you never remember it. So what I would think is, my God, this is the first time I will ever experience this. Or effectively.
Every time you were like, this is going to be the first time.
This is my first time actually experiencing falling asleep, and it's going to be really scary. For all I know, every single other night of my life, I've been like, oh my God, I'm falling asleep. Oh, this sucks. Oh, this sucks. And then I forget about it.
Right.
And I would be thinking to myself, well, this is going to happen again, but I will have experienced it for the first time, and I don't want to feel that. Because I don't like the idea of my consciousness being altered by some external force. Now, falling asleep is pretty internal, but still, like whenever people talk about brain chemicals and, that caused your dopamine gland to do this, so then you feel rewarded. That really freaks me out. I hate brain chemicals. I want to live in a world where your brain is just this like orb inside your body. Mm-hmm. Now, don't give me another astrology for the aesthetic argument. But I really don't like the idea that my brain is this thing that like squirts out little like, okay, now you're going to be happy. Oh, now you're sad. And then it flows throughout my body. Whoa, I feel good now because of the serotonin.
The serotonin.
Serotonin.
I miss her.
that freaks me out. So the mere idea of falling asleep is kind of like, I've never had to have surgery. I hope I never have surgery.
Oh my God, same.
Because the scariest thing I would rather be, God, what's really scary? I'd rather jump off a cliff than lay down, and then they put the mask over you, and then they like inject the sleep chemicals into you.
Are you just not going to get your wisdom teeth out?
God, I don't, like I had 2 teeth pulled when I was 9. And usually with a 9-year-old kid, they give you nitrous oxide. I did not want the nitrous oxide, because then the idea is that, well, I'm inhaling that, and then it's going to alter my mental state. Yeah. And I don't want that to happen. And I was even scared of the Novocaine or whatever that they use to numb your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
I was panicking, not because they had a big needle. I don't care about needles. But
I hate needles.
Needles are fine. Do you like spiders?
No.
But are you scared of spiders? Like, do spiders make you...
I can kill them, though. I can kill them, though.
Okay.
I'm strong. I have mastered my anxiety.
You've overcome your fear of spiders, practically.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm pretty fine with needles and spiders. Those are the two fears that everyone has, but I don't.
I hate needles. Like my back is doing weird things. Like even now, just thinking about it.
Yeah. Acupuncture.
I hate. No, but I hate the idea of anything going into my skin.
Okay.
It's a like I'm very conscious of it, and it's like a weird like if I see it happen, I can't deal with it for a long time. Like gore and violence in movies or TV or anything, I couldn't watch it. And I still, like, I really don't, the idea of, like, watching someone get hurt, I hate. Because if I see it, then I feel it in my own body. And especially even if I, like, look at a needle, I can feel it, like, going into my skin. And I'm like, gotta protect.
I'm one of those sociopaths who has more empathy for animals than people. I can watch people get maimed and I'm fine, but as soon as it's a cat, I refuse to watch.
Oh, I can't.
Like every now and then there's some controversy about someone made a video where they're abusing their dog or something.
Oh, I know.
And I'm always, my mouse is always hovering over the thumbnail of the video where they do it. And I'm like, do I want to watch this? Yeah, no.
No, definitely not. I don't understand how people can make those things. Yeah. It's like actual like real serious sociopath shit. Mm-hmm. Like if you make a video where you like knowingly hurt a living being,
or even if it's not a video, even if
if you hurt a living being and you're like haha, like
how many you kill spiders? Those are living beings.
Yeah, but it's self-defense.
It's probably a harmless. A lot of spiders are not capable of poisoning humans. What about Daddy Longlegs?
Well, I try to get them out humanely most of the time.
Yeah,
but if they're
what about ants? You've stepped on ants, right? I'm trying to narrow in on the moral dilemma.
Can ants scream though?
No, but neither can hold on. What's something that can't scream? Fish. You okay with killing a fish?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
expressions of distress, I guess.
Yeah,
that,
you
like,
can see a cat's face and the cat will like meow at you.
Yeah. It's like there's a weird, like the emotion, like triggers. Mm-hmm. That's like because like as a human being, I see body language and I recognize it in my brain as like something that has some sort of relatability to me. But I guess like things that I wonder if I met an alien that showed no like signs of body language that we're accustomed to, if we would like cease to feel any sort of like connection to it.
Their way of expressing pain is like
maybe they don't like have faces.
Yeah.
Because a face is something that you can see that can make an expression.
Yeah, and we see faces in cars and on low resolution pictures of Mars craters. You know, like, right. We're super trained.
I love my car's face. My car's very cute.
Good to know.
Yeah. But I totally see like faces and things that are recognizable to me as like some like little kernel of humanity, then it automatically has feelings and emotions.
Okay, but here's my question, because I have never been in a position where I am pressured to kill a person or an animal with a face.
Thank God.
Luckily. Hasn't happened yet.
Right.
But I like to think that if I were to, it would almost be more difficult to pull the trigger on a cat or a dog. Because there's almost a little bit of it. It's like this uncanny valley where you can tell that they're feeling emotions and you can empathize with them because they have faces and they can move their eyebrows and they can meow at you. But you don't have that nonverbal communication of like, hey man, Mafia's making me do this, like nothing personal.
Yeah.
You can't quite communicate with the cat or the dog. Yeah. And that's what almost makes it more sad is they aren't aware of what's coming to them.
Yeah. Well, cuz that's what like lots of people don't understand about about like animal behavior is that animals like they technically don't have morals. At least most of them don't. Like, elephants will go back to the skeletons of, their family.
Yeah, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Blah, blah, blah. But, like, when dogs misbehave, it's because they're just doing dog things. Like, they don't have the human, like, we're going to talk about why this is bad. You're going to understand rationally why I don't want you to do this. And then you're going to make the conscious decision to do good or evil. Like, there's no concept of good or evil. There's like, I feel like doing this. Like, this would bring me some benefit. And, like, this wouldn't bring me some benefit. So you can't, like, I don't know. It's incapable for an animal to be consciously evil. So then with that in mind, like, how do you, like, knowingly... that creature can't understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's, like, the most heartbreaking situation you can think of is the dog thinks that you're going out for a walk to play, but, like, no, I actually have to execute you.
No, I can't.
Right?
I can't.
That's worse than killing a person.
I hate it.
Isn't that? Because a person at least knows, okay, I'm about to get murked. Hopefully people miss me.
Hopefully, yeah. Like, it sucks, but I understand that this is a thing that's happening, and I understand in some capacity why.
Yeah.
If they have the space to do that.
Yeah, when we did when Josh and I were going around getting people's answers to the trolley problem, when we did 1 person versus 5 dogs, and we did people versus animals, you were one of the few people who... I thought that I would get more people on my team who are, like, nice to animals. Most of the time, people are like, no, 500,000 dogs, I would kill them to save 1 person. No. I am... And, like, Josh and I had an argument about this. Is like, so, okay, we've got 1 dog and 1 person. You have to kill one of them. Who do you kill? Okay, fine, I'll kill the dog because we've got a 1-to-1 ratio of lives. And so when it's kill 1 life or kill 1 life, that's even. So you go with the 1. It makes sense to save the species that you are, because that's how animals work in general, is that they work to proliferate their own species. But as soon as you have 2 lives versus 1 lives, 2 dogs versus 1 person, who do you kill? I'd seriously consider killing the person.
Yeah, me too.
And Josh is like, are you insane? I would kill 500 million dogs to save 1 person. Because... The logic is that people are just so special and so more higher evolved than animals that we're more valuable. That
just goes back to the Mark Twain excerpt that we read in Holtzclaws class about how, like, is man really the higher animal?
Which, I mean, we are. We're sure we suck, but other animals are also mean. Like, and we're just way more intelligent than other animals. They're by the way that we judge people, if we judge animals by those same standards, oftentimes we will be disappointed by animal nature.
Yeah.
Because they're working to self-preserve, and like you said, they don't really have morals the way we do. And I don't even want to open the can of worms of, like, well, how do we know that we have morals? How do we know rationally that something's wrong?
That conversation, yeah.
Yeah. This is not the Joshua Clymer podcast. This is the Ryann Liljenstolpe podcast.
The Ryann Liljenstolpe podcast. Well, this is also not the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn discussions from last year.
Yeah.
Where we're like, what is good and evil? What are morals? Like, what does it mean to be ignorant? But, like, because we are obviously more complicated in our, like, I don't know, mental whateverings than most animals are, but does more complicated mean better?
That's a good question. What is better? First you have to define more complicated, but then the more important one is, how do you define better? What makes something good? What makes something bad?
I know.
I'm getting us down that track, aren't I?
The layers. It just keeps going.
Yeah, there's nothing more tiring to the brain than trying to figure out what
a
basic word actually means.
No, I hate it. Because the more, like, the super surface level question, or the super surface level, like, answer that we just accept is, like, yeah, humans are better than animals. But, like, I mean, it still goes back to, like, well, what does better mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, humans could be better because we're just more complicated. So we think that because we have all of these super complicated behaviors and all of these super complicated like decision-making processes, does that make us better? But then what is better?
I don't know.
How do we understand value?
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, how
Your mic levels are too low if you lean back.
I know, but I'm having an existential crisis.
That's what happens on the Frank Hurley Show, folks. Please come be a guest.
Please come be a guest and ruin your own life by just thinking about your existence. I don't know. Well, it's also like I'm super caffeinated. My mic stand is empty.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, there's 2 shots of espresso in there that are now coursing through my veins.
All right, so we're going to get some good speaks.
Oh, yes. Good speaks, good talks. AP Lit, by the way.
AP. I can do writing good.
I do writing good. I passed the AP Lang test.
That's like my last resort. Someone's arguing with me is like, why did you screw over these people and start a pyramid scheme that made everyone $100,000 in debt?
Pyramid.
I got a 5 on the AP Lang exam. Okay, you can shut up.
Okay, that's literally me. Literally me. I'm just like, because Estelle is Gentleman's TA,
Mm-hmm.
and she writes the prompts for the regular English 4.
Oh man.
She writes their essay prompts, and so I have friends.
Does she take suggestions?
I don't know. You could ask her, Estelle. Estelle, if you're watching, we have some ideas for you. But I have like friends in the same friend group who are both like AP Lit and regular English 4. And when Estelle is talking about like, yeah, I was writing the prompts for regular today, and they were like, wait, what? Like, you, my friend, who I'm sitting at this table with, eating lunch as equals, you're writing my essay prompts?
That's the fallacy. She's not an equal. She's an AP Lit. That means she's better than you. All you regular English people. That's
English
actually how it works.
Regular English people.
You think that since you're effectively
Just
the
like,
same and like there's no correlation with anything and it's just a matter of making the decision to take the class, that like people who are in AP Lit and people who are in regular English are like the same and peers and equals? That's not how it works.
No.
You've been in high school for 3 and some odd years.
3 and some odd, yeah. Like, oh man. Aha. Turn to the face next to your face and say, I am superior because I took AP Lit.
No, but here's the problem is that the people who are inferior aren't in the classroom. If he did a mix, English 4 and AP Lit, he's like, okay, so we need to stratify it. We need to make everyone sit. We need an AP Lit person, regular person, AP Lit person, regular person.
Right.
Then he can say, now turn to your neighbor and say, aha. Now, if your neighbor is an English 4, you say, I am better than you. If your neighbor is an AP Lit, you say, I am worse than you.
All hail. But it would be total, like, classic academia to have everyone in the room be AP Lit, and you're all just congratulating each other on being so smart and so much better.
Because we are. Like, after, if you were to do a play, for example, and you did it really well, then you guys would be like, yeah, we did awesome. We totally crushed it. Nobody flubbed their lines.
Good job, team.
In the same way, if you are born into the higher strata of humanity that takes AP Lit, you would congratulate each other. It's simple logic.
That's how it works. Just get dunked on.
Mm-hmm.
Get dunked on by life.
Yeah.
But we are the ones who are... we're all the fools.
We are the world changers. I don't know what you're
saying.
Mm-mm. Are you trying to break the sarcasm?
I mean, am I? I don't know. I just feel like
you're being sarcastic by saying that we're fools. Oh, I get it. Yeah, AP Lit people are so dumb, aren't we, guys? Right?
But we're like, yeah, we're so much better because we're AP Lit, and then reality is worse. None of us have it together at all.
That's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ryan's really good at committing to a bit and saying something that's not true but making it seem true.
Yeah, totally sarcastic.
Yeah.
The other day, I was downtown with Nassim and Estelle and Bruce, And we ran into Mrs. Martinez.
Oh, great. This story
I'm
again.
sure you remember her fondly.
Did you watch the Nassim podcast? She already talked about her encounter, your guys' encounter.
Did she tell you what she said about me?
She just told me that Estelle pronounced plebeian wrong.
Oh, yeah, that was really funny.
That's about it.
That was really good. But, another facet of this story that has personally just been a blight on my life is that...
I thought you were about to say Blythe.
A blight on my life. I love Blythe. But
if you were Nassim, you'd say, shout out to Blythe.
Shout out to Blythe. My real homie since day one. Well, 2 years. 2 years after. 2 years like after 2.5. Yeah. She's great. But Nassim looks at me and she goes, yeah, Ryann pretends like she doesn't have it together, but she actually does. And I was like, out on the outside, I was like, and on the inside, I was like, no, you don't understand.
Well, how do you know that you actually don't have it together? Because I
don't know. The judgment is so, yeah.
You're not in other people's heads. You don't know to what extent they have it together, you know?
Well, that's the wacky thing about high school.
Yeah.
It's like we're all judging ourselves based on things that turn out to be totally arbitrary.
Which I love it, but yeah.
Yeah, just running the rat race. But dude, I was talking to my former coworker because I just quit my job, lol. And
stick it to the capitalist system. No more wage labor.
Yeah. I got a fat check, though, for my last paycheck. I'm very happy about that. But before I quit my job, I was convincing my coworker to also quit because we're both seniors in high school. And she was like, I'm killing myself. And I'm like, well, you don't have to stay. I'm not telling you to leave, but if that's what's right for you. And she's president of 3 clubs and on officers of bunch more. She got a 1540 on the SAT, and she goes to PCS, so she's taking 8 APs this year, right? And so I was like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? Mm-hmm. How is this person she's the funny thing about this is that she was like, yeah, I'm really hoping I get into colleges.
Yeah. And you're like, wait, no, that's what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, let's hope. She's crossing my fingers, and I'm like, wait, what? Dude, even if you're doing the absolute most, everyone is still oh, I'm not doing enough.
Well, yeah, I think it would be worse if people were, oh, I'm absolutely doing enough, I'm fine. Because then you'd have no motivation to improve.
Yeah.
Because then people who are only doing mediocre would start thinking they're doing great, and the opposite.
Yeah, totally. Well, it also when you get into that I'm never doing enough, you have to think about taking care of yourself.
Fuck myself, dude. I care about the people.
I care about the people. I care about the college board.
Yeah, the people care about it when I'm depressed and I make cool stuff that they like, and I'm going to appease them.
I'm going to make more cool stuff. Yeah. And just die.
And accomplish things and have gray hairs by age 25. I am in.
Oh my God. You're in. It's oh, dude. I just don't understand anymore how people are oh, I just have to be absolutely perfect all the time.
You don't? Because imagine how cool it would be to be absolutely perfect all the time. You'd be
that
perfect.
That doesn't exist.
You wouldn't
That's
have
impossible.
any problems. Yeah, but if you get, you can get infinitesimally closer to it.
Infinitesimally?
Yeah, so infinitely.
AP Lit, by the way.
I think it's actually a math term.
Okay.
But sure. But you can, there's there's perfection. Now we just had this conversation about what is good and whatnot. But let's just use the definition of what seems good, what we think of as good is good, what seems bad isn't. Just go off of connotation. There's perfect, you're never going to reach that. But that's a limit. And you can get closer and closer and closer to that limit. You can be 1 away, you can be 0.5 away, you can be 0.25 away. Isn't being 0.25 away better than being 1 away?
I mean, in theory, but in real life, Why?
So here's a question. Who's more perfect? The person who's more perfect, or the person who decided to take some time to take care of themselves and ultimately are living a better, happier life?
Well, it depends on where you place your value.
Yeah.
Because if you place your value on being absolutely outstanding in everything, but having absolutely no sense of limits for yourself or self-worth or stability, like...
That sounds awesome. I am jealous of those people. I want to be a
why you're insane.
workaholic
That's why
so
you're
bad.
insane. Uh-huh.
You don't I just think that's such a great problem to have, is to have a horrible relationship with everyone in your life because you just can't help slaving away at stuff.
I can't even tell if you're being serious or not.
People always complain. It's like, it's a certain kind of humble brag. Like, oh, I work so hard. I need to spend more time with my family. Oh man, I just can't help but get up in the morning and just be productive all the time. I hate it. I would give so much to just innately be productive all the time.
Yeah. Well, I would love to just like have everything in my life have some sort of like productive value. But I value people too much.
It's like, that's my least favorite thing anyone ever says. I'm way too empathetic for my own good. I'm forgiving to a fault. Shut up.
People who say they're too forgiving.
Being an unempathetic sociopath is so much worse.
Yeah. No, it's terrible. And like people who say like, oh, I'm forgiving to a fault. Because like people use that to manipulate people.
Even if they are victims of molestation, it makes me mad.
Oh my God. Well, forgiving to a fault can, of course, be like, I don't know how to stand up for myself. That's just like not knowing how to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
When you say, I'm forgiving to a fault, you're basically saying like, you could do anything, and I'd be like, I forgive you. Mm-hmm. Even if the thing was like not in any way like something that you should have to be forgiven for. Like that's happened to me so many times.
Well, what they're doing is they're taking a positive trait that they actually want to be, and then they're saying that they have it so much that it actually sucks. But really, in their brain, they're
actually sucking.
Yeah, but it actually gives them that high of like, oh, well, actually, it's actually awesome because they want to be so empathetic and so forgiving. It's like saying that you have like a 14-inch dick and talking about how much it sucks. It's like, I can't have sex. It's terrible. But secretly inside.
It's seriously, it's exactly like that. Because a lot of times they don't actually, it's complete bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's horseshit. They're like, they don't actually have these qualities at all and they actually suck. But they like mask their suckiness under this like layer of like, oh, I'm so great.
What they don't want to do is say, I'm such an awesome person because I'm so empathetic. So they take that exact same meaning and they hide it under the facade of, I'm such a bad person, I'm so empathetic.
Yeah.
When you're actually communicating to me.
Because then they can still be a bad person. They can be a terrible person, and they have the excuse of like, it's because I'm too empathetic.
Well, no, it's not that. It's that they can do bad things but still be a good person.
Well, in their eyes, yes. But like everyone who they affect knows that they're actually a bad person, but it's like self-justifying.
Yeah, they treat being a good person like being Asian. No matter what you do, you're still Asian. You
right.
know? So it's the same thing. Like you could be a mass murderer, but like I'm so empathetic.
Oh, I'm so empathetic. Yeah, well, it's like that I killed all those people for their own good. Yeah. Yeah, like they weren't gonna...
For the record, if you're one of those obnoxious people who say, I'm way too forgiving, we're not saying that you are going to be a mass murderer. No. Necessarily.
We're just saying that you, like, still kind of suck.
Yeah, we're just saying, like, shut up.
We're just saying, like, just shut up. Just stop. Just stop talking about yourself like that. Mm-hmm. Like, don't waste time talking about how much you are of anything. Just do it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've never understood the complicated, like, oh, I'm gonna talk about all of my attributes so much that my entire life is just me talking about them. Mm-hmm. I don't actually do anything. Yeah. I'm just like, because if you say, like, oh, I'm such a workaholic. Like, I work so hard. I work myself way too hard. But then
I'm a partner at my law firm and I'm only 27. I can't stop. I'm just working myself to death. I just can't stop.
Yeah. Like,
and we know
you're
what
obviously just looking for someone to pat you on the head and tell you to take a vacation. Like,
I know what you're actually trying to communicate, which is, I'm better than you.
I'm better than you, and you're obviously not doing enough because I'm just on such another level. I was talking about AP Lit. We were having this conversation, but like 5 minutes ago, we were like, we're better than you. Yeah. But see, at least that was for the meme,
we're
though.
Upfront about it. See,
and
if
that
we were
goes
bad
back
people,
to the thing.
we'd be like, I'm smart to a fault. I'm in AP Lit. It's so hard.
It's so hard.
We have to write an essay with 4 other people.
I just can't cope with being in regular AP.
I can't cope with being a gifted student.
I can't. Oh my god. Yeah, well.
Yeah. And that's why it's almost always better for people to just be upfront about it. Like, that's why it's always a breath of fresh air when, especially back in freshman, sophomore year, when everyone, there was a little just bit more like a social strata and people were less chilled out about stuff.
Yeah.
The people who obviously cared deeply about their academic achievement, but said, well, I don't think grades really matter. You know, it's about who you are as a person, and it's totally fine. Your grades have nothing to do with the way I think about you. Meanwhile, they're slaving away to get all A's, so obviously they're judging themselves.
Yeah.
But then they're saying to other people, you want me to believe that you're not judging me for it when I can see how much you're judging yourself for it.
Yeah.
But then there's always the couple. It's like Bryce and Lucas and stuff who are just like, yes, my academic achievements are better than yours. That makes me better than you. Ha. And like, that is it's so refreshing.
Amazing.
For people, if someone wants something to brag about it.
Amazing.
Just brag about it. Don't hide it behind.
If you're going to brag, just be real.
Yeah.
Just like, if you're going to flex, you better like milk it. Mm-hmm. You better take it as far as you possibly can. Because
then at least you're being self-aware. If you can communicate to me, hey,
self-awareness.
I'm about to be a douchebag. Let me be a douchebag for a second. I'll probably say sure. You just have to do that level of communication with the way that you speak.
Yeah, you just gotta be like, well, not to suck my own dick, but like, I did this super awesome thing and I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah.
Like, I respect that way more than...
I'm such a terrible person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Poor me.
The irony is that we are two 17-year-olds in front of a poorly keyed out green screen telling the internet how to live their lives and communicate with people.
Because we're obviously better.
I mean, we are in AP Lit, but on the other hand,
we are in AP Lit, and that just means that we're like in a completely separate plane, just a higher plane of existence.
But see, there are adults who took AP Lit who know more than us. Like, who are we to talk about them?
Adults can be so stupid, though.
Yeah, but like, so can kids.
Yeah.
I'm always a little bit turned off by the whole people don't treat teenagers with the respect that they should.
Because teenagers suck.
Yeah, because
so
teenagers are
much.
so mature.
They're terrible.
We are terrible. Don't say they.
I say they. So like the whole, like everything in this.
Yeah.
Us, them, like all of this entire situation, it's all they, I guess. I don't know, man. Because, like, I become self-aware of my teenageriness sometimes. Especially, I have, like, having a younger sibling, and you have younger siblings too, so you probably understand this on some level, but, like, seeing my younger sibling go through the same phases that I did, going through the same, not like phases like like
goth phase.
Yeah, goth phase, like my my weeb phase, like back in middle school, but like seeing Blythe go through my like the same emotional turmoil, I'm like, oh damn, like it's a whole different sense of perspective when you see a younger sibling go through the same stuff that you did.
And you realize, wait, that was me only a couple years ago.
That was me. Because when you're in it, you're like, it's life and death. It's so serious. And I mean, in a way it is. because I mean, how you're feeling is like real and it's really affecting your life. But like once you're outside of that and you see this sort of like the cynicism of being a young teenager and just like everything's terrible and I'm gonna be sad about it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna sit in the car and stare out the window like this. Right? Like, once you're out of that, you see it and you're like, man, teenagers.
I know. That's my motto.
We're boomers.
I may be 17, but at least I'm not 14, okay, guys?
Oh, true. Yeah. Like, man, I may be, like, struggling through 17, but at least I'm not 12 anymore.
Yeah.
Because that is, like, at least it's over. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I love calling everyone, like, older than 17 a boomer. Just because it's sort of like the element of like, haha, you're older than me. You're old. Mm-hmm. Like,
isn't it crazy though that like people who were in high school but were older than us, they're adults now, and they like do adult stuff.
Oh, I know.
Like that's gonna be us sooner than we like to think.
Well, also like being a senior and seeing people who like you knew as seniors, and now that you're having their experience, you're like, you are so much less cool than I thought you were for being a senior. Like you as a person, if we're friends, you're still great, and if we are not friends, you still, I mean, okay. But like I don't know, man. I used to like place so much value on like being older.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, freshman. Because everyone is.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, it's so much less cool than I thought. Kind of disappointing, honestly.
Yeah. It's like seniors in high school are basically 8th graders. They're at the top of their little chunk. But
oh my God.
Then now you move to the next, now you're the underdog again in the next phase.
I know. And then you go through that, and then you're suddenly an adult. And you're like, oh, this is so much less cool than I thought. Mm-hmm. Like, well, even I had a lot of experience of, like, almost adulthood this summer. Like, when I sort of had a job and I had a car and I was doing lots of stuff on my own. And then I actually realized, like, for real, how much responsibility you have to have. And I don't even pay any bills yet.
Yeah.
It was, like, a whole other, like, layer of stress. Like, I understand why adults are so mad about shit all the time, because it sucks. Yeah. Shit's fucked, dude. Like it's like once you get to the world of like everyone's an adult and there's no high school structure, people are just gonna act the way that they're gonna act.
Yeah. You don't know who passed the AP Lang exam and who didn't. So
no.
It's like it's a zero-sum game.
You don't even know anything anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like people are gonna act how they're gonna act, and if they have a like position of power over you, you don't have the comfort of being like, we're all just in high school, we're all just doing this. Like if it's like your boss, like if you have a boss that sucks, they're just an adult and they're just gonna be the way that you are, the way that they are, and you just have to like deal with it. You can't like retreat into your own circle. I don't know if that even like makes sense when it's coming out of my mouth, but I
I've got a feeling that you're trying to communicate and you're doing your best.
Yeah. See, I just
Life's
don't.
sad, stressful, responsibilities lots, stress lots.
Stress lots, stress bad, have to deal, I guess.
Sure.
A short poem by me.
You just got to put the line breaks in completely random places.
It turns into oh my gosh, the lady who wrote that Milk and Honey book. Ruby Carr.
Sure. No, I think her name is. I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, for realsies?
No,
it's like all of her poems are just like sort of vague thoughts, but she like puts the line spacing in such a way that it's like, this is a poem now.
Just after reading The Lice, I realized being a poet is easy. You think about something, it doesn't really have to make sense, then you write it. Then you type into the like Google find and replace, the Google Docs find and replace thing. You remove all the periods and the commas.
The lack of punctuation in the lice.
Then you literally
Deeply
go
upsets
to
me.
random places in the paragraph and go click enter, click enter, click enter, and you've got yourself a poem.
You've got yourself a poem. Wait, that makes so much sense because I love poetry. It makes no sense, and it's wrong, and the aesthetic of it.
It's like astrology.
I love. It's like we're bringing it full circle. This is a narrative now. Everything comes back to astrology.
I just always read poetry. Now, poetry, they always define poetry as what? Writing that through the structure and actually the aesthetic aspects of the writing enhances the meaning. That's all writing. No matter what you write, the reader's reading it in their head. It has a rhythm to it. You have to employ stuff like that. And imagery and all the poetic devices and whatnot. But poetry, as in you've got a book of poetry that a poet wrote.
A poet.
And
they have awards for it. They're like, you're going to be the poet laureate.
I've been trying to like see how that's a legitimate, respectable art form for a long time, and I haven't quite gotten there yet. I read poetry and I'm like, this is just shitty rap lyrics.
It's a rap that's not good.
Yeah, exactly. It's if
the
we're
rap
making a
don't
rap
slap.
song, if we're making a rap song, and I'm like, okay, Ryan, you've got to give me 16 bars, but then it's 14 bars, but like they don't really rhyme that much, and it doesn't really make sense. I'm like, come on, Ryan, you can do better than this. Come on, write something that actually makes sense.
I'm just a poet.
Yeah.
I can't help it. It's my art.
I definitely think people use abstraction as defense against not actually meaning anything.
But I've also read poems that are literally just prose. Like prose, like artful writing. It's just like that one that we wrote the essay on in Gentie's class.
Yeah.
About, it was the dude with the
alienation.
book. No.
No.
It was the other one. The dude with the book.
Shoot, hold on.
He sent the book in an envelope.
Yeah.
And he was like wondering where it was.
Yeah, and the homeless guy.
That was just a short story.
He thinks that exactly. I read that. Thank you. I read that. I thought this reads better as a short story.
Yes.
If you fix the punctuation, it's still just as valid. And now I just read it as a short story. A lot of poems, I think, would work better if you just make it a little bit more specific. You can still have metaphors and imagery and all that. That's all great.
Yeah.
But just make it something comprehensible and it's writing.
Yeah.
It's just stream of consciousness writing, and that's valid, but I would see that as a brainstorming technique. You write poetry, and then you think, okay, how am I going to make this?
Poetry would make great brainstorming.
Yeah, so you write that, and then what you would do after that, if you weren't lazy like poets.
Careful. You could like get into some dangerous poet roasting territory.
No, I roast all. As soon as someone says I write poetry, I automatically hate them.
Estelle writes poetry.
Estelle, yeah, but like it's an uphill battle.
Estelle, sweetie, I'm so sorry.
No, Estelle, I like you, but it's despite the fact that you write poetry.
But yeah, but back to what you were saying before I interrupted you.
Yeah.
So rudely, I'm so sorry.
No, it's a podcast. It's what happens.
Yeah.
We started off talking about astrology, and now we're here.
We're roasting poetry.
Yeah. You write this jarbled mess of things that are emotionally evocative to you, because I can write stuff that you read and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? But to me, it is deeply painful and emotional. So then it's my job as the artist to translate that into something that can actually be communicated to people with something that actually takes structure and, work. These poets make me so mad. Even the cool ones, like we're all supposed to like Charles Bukowski. And like, sure, fine, he actually had a job for most of his life and then he wrote poetry on the side. That's cool. But if their occupation is a poet, that means they waltzed out of bed at 11 a.m., thought, what am I going to write today? And just mashed some keys. And unlike the rest of us who try to actually make something entertaining out of it, they say, I'm done. People are pretentious enough to pretend to like this.
Oh, I know. Well, that is what really gets me. Because I love, like, I don't know. Some things about poetry, like some different kinds of poetry, I really like. But when it just makes no sense, and it has no structure, and it couldn't even be like a narrative that's deconstructed for the aesthetic. It's literally just like bleh. I can't get behind that. And when people are like, oh, it's so brave, I'm like, what? But what are you saying? And also, like, the one thing that
You told a physicist to stop watching Poets. You can also probably click off right about now.
Oh, Estelle is already like so bad. But
we can't read the live comment feed, but
oh, we can't.
We can't.
Oh, rip.
But I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
But oh yeah, it'll be so good. But like if you're, oh my gosh, wait, where was my train of thought? What was I talking about?
Poetry.
We were talking about
people
poetry.
pretend to like.
Oh yeah. The one thing that I've learned from being an artist is that sometimes it's not that deep. Like sometimes you write something because that's how you want it to sound.
Yeah.
Or that's how you want it to look. You're not like, the blue represents like a deep sea of like longing. And like that's what it represents in the poem. Like sometimes the wall is just blue.
Yeah.
Because you have a picture, like a physical picture in your brain.
And red would look bad, so now it's...
Yeah, so now it's blue. Or that's literally just like you had a thought and that was the first thing that came to your mind and you like that image, you just want to write it. Like, some authors, sure, they put Easter eggs in everything. Everything has like 50 million different layers underneath the actual words. But sometimes it's not that deep.
Yeah. People definitely overanalyze all art.
Oh, definitely. Like, it's really... Like, I understand having a color scheme that you want to sort of... like, put forth this certain image, like a certain vibe. I understand vibes. Vibes, I'm down with those.
You like astrology. We've already established this. I'm not going to let that go, in case you were wondering.
No, it's okay. I own it. I'm self-aware. But, like... If you want people to do all of this work to make your piece deliberately difficult to understand, that's just like, it's just like a wank. You're just like, yeah, I'm smart and this is super complicated, and like you taking a lot of work to try and figure it out and piece it together just means that I'm smarter than you.
Yeah. Like, isn't that on your mind, people who write poetry, you bastards?
Estelle, you bastard.
Isn't that on your mind? You're like, you write something and you have this metaphor that you want to get across, but then you sleep on it. You wake up in the morning and you read your poem again, and you think, I think this metaphor only makes sense to me.
Yeah.
The reader's not going to get this. Shoot, I want them to like feel what I'm feeling, so I need to word it in a way where it's more clear so that they actually get the metaphor.
Yeah.
Isn't that an issue for you? It's like, how are people going to actually understand what I'm saying?
Seriously, because I think that's one of the reasons why I genuinely really dislike most academic writing, is because it's inaccessible on purpose.
Yeah.
It's inaccessible for the sake of only being able to be understood by a certain like select group of well-educated people.
Yeah, it's like people who think that they're better than everyone else for being an AP Lit. Like they just want to be in some elite circle.
Yeah. they just want to have the circle where they're all like, we're so great. And I really don't understand that whole concept of I'm going to make this incomprehensible solely so that me and like 5 other people understand what it means.
Yeah.
Because most people are able to grasp abstract concepts.
Yeah. No,
Like,
if you have a metaphor that works, people will get it.
People will get it and they'll understand because that's humanity. Like it doesn't have to be this huge, inaccessible, only for smart people thing. That's not how life should be. We should all be trying to understand each other. But like the ego gets in the way. It's like, no, I care about being smart more than I like care about, I don't know, having people understand what I'm saying and being on some like common ground.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me because I don't quite think I get I want people to be turned off by this.
Yeah.
Motive.
I don't get it.
I get, I'm going to make this deliberately incomprehensible because if anyone asks me what this means, I don't want to have that conversation because it's too personal or something like that. Yeah. Fine, make art for yourself that no one understands. That's great. Yeah. But if you put something out there and you expect people to enjoy it, you should make an effort to make it accessible to them and make it something that they're actually capable of digesting.
Completely. Well, that's why I'm a performer. Is because I want, like, people to, like, find enjoyment in, like, what I put out there in the world. Like, what is the point? That's why, like, most experimental theater really bugs me. Because God, I don't get why you would, like, go out and do something incomprehensible and the audience is supposed to be like, oh, like, it means that there is, like, an inner struggle and, like, the bowl of water represents your hopes and dreams and, like, the interpretive dance. Like, no.
It's basically like translating tongue speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same thing as you're giving a bunch of random stimuli. People are going to come up, just like they saw a face on the moon, they're going to come up with a reason why it makes sense.
Yeah.
We're good at detecting patterns. It's just you should actually be starting with something that's a pattern.
Yeah. Well, you make art and you make performance that people enjoy. That's the entire point.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, entertainment.
Yeah, and shouldn't you be able to tell, like, oh, this is cool. Like, sure, I made this, or I'm in charge of it, but I can try to step out of that for a second and think, if I'm just a random person, do I think this is cool? That should be your motivation. Yeah.
Well, and also, like, people disguise bad, lazy writing with just, oh, well, it's, like, above that level. Because something can be widely accessible and entertaining and still be really smart.
Yeah.
Like, it can be good and still be smart.
I think that
it
sometimes
doesn't have
being
to make no sense.
Good is a prerequisite for being considered smart.
Yeah, because if you're just like, I'm going to write a bunch of metaphors in here that don't make sense, that are super vague and convoluted, and, like, only, you know, it's like this whole, like, pearls before swine thing, but swine is literally everyone except for you and whoever is, like, working on the project with you, who is also super psyched that they're as smart as you.
Yeah.
But it
sounds like something that I would do when I was 11.
Yeah.
Why are you an adult?
Yeah, because it's like you want to feel special. And some people, like, don't, like, some people think that they have to be better than other people to
Why would you
be
ever
good.
think that? Comparing yourself to others, what an immature loser.
Comparing yourself to others, so immature, so loserly. But, like, for real, though, like, you don't have to be better than everyone to be good.
What's good? Right?
Oh, no.
So
no,
let's just
we're not
say
going
that,
back to this.
Let's just say that you want to be good by your own standards. How do you set those standards? By looking at what traits you see in other people that you like and looking at ones that you don't like. And then
That's
you calibrate
true,
those and you think, okay, well, what do I want to be like? Inherently, you're comparing yourself to others
other people
by having any standards for yourself at all.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. Wow. I feel expanded. But, like... but I just think, like, you know, not in a way of, like, I want to emulate traits that I personally like. Because a lot of that has to do with, like, the way that someone treats other people. Or the way that someone moves through the world. If you want to emulate that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you think that you are better or worse than that person. Right? Because, yeah, I don't know. I need chapstick.
All right, chapstick up.
Chapstick up. I found chapstick in the pocket of my jacket this morning, and I was like, oh, sick. Wait, did it fall? I just bumped the monitor.
Everything goes black. Systems down.
Everything. Oh, no, dude. I love those, like,
the lights go off sequentially.
Have you seen the outtake from Parks and Rec?
No.
Where it's, like, really like well-known thing. This is like melted, which is why I'm like, I can put on chapstick like a normal person. This is just like, it'll fall apart.
Yeah.
But Chris Pratt was like, and I never watched the show, I just saw the video by like, I don't know, some random thing on the internet, but Chris Pratt is like running into the room and he has a briefcase in his hand and he does this like cool slide on a table, but in the process he accidentally hurls the briefcase at the wall and it smacks right in the center of the light switch. And all of the lights in the room just go off.
It's like, it's almost impressive in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like you're tossing a pencil
when
up
you
and
can
down
fuck
in the air.
up technology so bad.
Yeah, and then it hits, and then it, by chance it lands in the trash can. Like, what's the probability of that?
I know. Yeah, well, trick shots are always gonna be cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever, like, I'm sure those guys, like the Dude Perfect guys, have done this, like, an insane amount of videos. They've been making videos forever, and they're just like throwing basketballs at shit.
Yeah,
But
and they do it enough times, then eventually it looks cool.
Yeah, but it's always gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's why they still have subscribers. Is because there's like some response up
Where you're
here.
just like, oh, is it gonna?
And you're like, yes, the basketball went in the thing. That is sick. That's something like, whoever, like, you have to be a real, like, a droid, like a robot, to see something like that should be super technically improbable actually happen and be like,
The odds of that were only 1 to 3.75. It's actually not that. Shut up, robot.
Well, like, that was me when Josh got called for poem memorization 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about, we were in the same period. They were talking about
We
Josh
are in the same
Ginelli,
period. Yes.
Well, here's the problem with that is, remember, you'll always hear stories about this from a certain group of people. You know, we'll say where they're like, this X happened, and isn't it a crazy coincidence that I happened to say, let's just, like, I happened to tell this kid, like, hey, you're having, like, trouble, you're not destined to be like your dad, for example, if you were to say that. And, like, here's the problem with saying, I've had improbable things happen in my life, therefore this. Coincidences happen.
Yeah.
If you live your entire life without crazy coincidences that should have never happened occurring, that's improbable.
Extremely.
Is if you ask someone to take a piece of paper and write out a bunch of randomly generated digits from 1 to 9, they're not going to go 1 1 1 1 1 2 2 2. But an actually random sequence, that's just as likely as 3 4 8 3 8, etc.
Yeah.
So stuff is gonna line up, and it's gonna be spooky.
Yes.
It's just and it's just as likely.
And the spookiness is always going to be cool.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean.
Yeah, so Josh being picked 3 times is actually...
It was crazy.
Yeah, but then you put into perspective how many times have people clicked the generate random number from 1 to 18 on Google. It's totally probably gonna happen.
Yeah, because someone calculated it in class. I think Reed did, and it was like some huge, like, 1 in bunch of zeros, right? But like...
Literally every outcome is that exact same probability.
Yeah, like every outcome is that exact same probability, and in between all of those weeks, those probabilities have been like cycling through.
Yeah.
We just happen to be like there when it actually happened.
And we just have a bias for randomly generated numbers that are meaningful to us.
Yeah.
Which it's just as random.
Because also, wasn't it a different number every time?
Well, yeah.
Because he didn't.
But then it's just like, well, he happened to get the same one.
Yeah, exactly. Because it wasn't the probability like he was number 3 every time. Number 3 got picked like 3 weeks in a row. Like, it was a completely different number that was at a different place in 1 to 19, and he just happened to be holding it every time.
It's still, but he got chosen at different positions within the 1 2 3. Within the like the 1 2 3 order of, okay, first person to try to do it and second person to try to do it. It's really
because it wasn't like we clicked it 3 times in a row.
Like we all were flabbergasted by it because Josh we put ourselves in his shoes and he's like, oh, he's got to do it again.
Dude,
like that's
that
a funny
crazy.
Situation. But the
Well,
actual numbers of it.
Yeah, because
who
also the
cares?
first week he said to me, he was like, I don't know, I can't like do this in front of people. It gives me so much anxiety. Like there's no way, like if I get called, I'm not going to be able to like deal with it. I like can't do it. I get so much anxiety. And then he got called 3 weeks in a row.
Probably helped him with his fear of public speaking. Or
Yeah, well, because by the last time he was
by the
like,
last time he was like, okay,
shit,
God,
here we go
the art
again.
of losing isn't hard to master.
The art of losing isn't hard to master. Oh my God. Yeah, I was surprised he didn't get picked for Lear. Because that would have been a real trip.
It would have been the same probability as Emily getting picked for Lear.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, if every single
That
person
day.
got picked except for you, you're not more likely to get picked this time.
Yeah.
Everyone has the same chance.
because it resets.
Yeah.
I don't know, probability's weird. Math makes my brain hurt. Man. It's just like, and crazy coincidences like that happen.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that like the universe, because of course the voice inside of me is like, it's the universe.
Yeah, we cherry pick all the times that there actually is a coincidence, and we forget.
And we're like, the universe is saying
literally
something.
every other second of your life where it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Like you can count the amount of times something totally crazy has happened by chance.
Right.
In your life, you can't count the amount of times that theoretically maybe something coincidental, totally crazy could have happened, but it didn't, because that's happening right now.
Yeah.
That's happening just as we speak. A bunch of coincidences are not happening.
No. And
So
the,
when
like,
it finally happens, we're all surprised, but that's just the luck of the draw.
yeah, the generator is still generating.
Yeah.
But it's not like landing on a number that we recognize.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like all happening in the background. And then the minute something crazy happens, it's like, oh, it's like a sign from the universe.
Yeah.
But isn't it like, it's fun to
It is
think.
fun. It's like, well, this means that, like, if you let that influence your decision.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, flower petal picking, or that's not like the best example,
Yeah,
but
right.
something cliched like that. It is sort of fun to be like, well, you know what, this is, and even I get that mentality sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not exactly what one would call a Christian or a believer in God.
Right.
Some people may not know that. For those of you who are uninitiated,
Whoa.
Frank's not a believer?
Frank's not a Christian?
Like, even I think some coincidence will happen, and I'm like, this is God telling me. No, it's not, Frank.
No, it's
but
not.
there's that brief little glimmer that you just can't
it's the
help.
universe.
Yeah.
It's the universe. Well, because I think that, like, people will make decisions in their lives and then be surprised by the outcomes of those decisions. That is one of my biggest philosophies, is that, you know, your conscious decisions that you make have subconscious motives. They always do. Whenever you do something, there's always a reason for doing it. Even if that reason is, I'm just gonna do something. Like, there's some subconscious process that your brain goes through when you decide what you're gonna do and why. Everything. Even if you, like, are walking straight and you turn right, your brain had to fire something off to say, I'm gonna go right? And so when those, like, decisions that you make, if you don't recognize the subconscious like motivation behind that decision, but then you do realize it in the outcome of that decision, if that makes sense. Like, if you're thinking about if you're thinking about, like, something, like, if you're trying to get a job and you're always looking for something.
Yeah.
Right? You always know, maybe you're not consciously thinking about what you're looking for, but you're still looking for it. And then when it appears, you shouldn't be surprised that it did, because in your subconscious mind, you were still looking for it. Mm-hmm. It's, like, weird, because, like, people talk about, like, the law of attraction and all that stuff, like, oh, I just need to, like, wish for money and, like, it'll come to my life.
Yeah. But if it's on your mind enough,
Like,
that's going to seep into what you actually do.
It actually happens, because, like, it's not gonna be a total coincidence. If you do have money come into your life, it's because you are looking for it. Mm-hmm. Like, we shouldn't be surprised that we find the things that we're looking for. If you are looking for a reason to quit your job,
you'll find it.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And then, because that's like what really gets me with this whole like, and then I had this crazy experience that couldn't happen unless it was some like sign from the universe telling me like, you were looking for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
that was like when, do you remember Mr. C? He taught math. He taught Algebra 1.
I was not at Monte Vista before 8th grade.
Oh, you came to Monte Vista in 8th grade?
Yeah.
I thought you were there since 7th grade.
Nope.
Bruh. Time isn't real anyway.
My freshman year self is like, yes, they think I'm one of the old hats.
They think I'm one of them. Well, you technically are. If you were an 8th grader, you are. But he taught algebra, and he quit in the middle of the year. He left in the middle of the year, like at the semester. And the story that he told us when we were all leaving for our winter break, and he was like, guys, I'm leaving. And the message was that God told him directly to go teach Bible.
Yeah.
Instead of math, right? And if you believe that, you know, God is a part of your own brain, if that's like what you're,
or that God can directly communicate to you.
Yeah, like that's your thing. But in reality, like, he was looking for a reason to do that.
Yeah.
And he found the reason. It was given to him by the actions that he took in his life. And he was like, you guys.
Humans are incredibly good at rationalizing.
So
you can
good.
convince yourself of whatever you want if there's a strong enough emotional motive behind it.
Yeah.
And it's like that's one of the more difficult things, is to like recognize why you're actually doing something. Like something that sort of relates to that is I did the podcast with Josiah, right?
Uh-huh.
He was like he texted me. He was supposed to show up at like 10 a.m. He's like, hey Frank, I'm gonna be late. Can we like push it back to like 11? I'm like, sure, of course. You know, I'm the one who's asking him to come over to do the podcast. I'm not gonna be mean about it.
Yeah, right.
And then he gets there like a little bit earlier than he said he was after the revision of the arrival time. He gets there early. It's like, hey Frank, how are you doing? Yeah, I was gonna leave, but then God was telling me to read the Bible. So I decided, so I texted you and said, hey, I'm going to be a little bit later so I could read my Bible, because that's what God was telling me to do. But then while I was reading my Bible, like 20 minutes in, God told me to come over to your house. So I decided to come over to your house. And so I asked him, so if God told you to shoot up a Planned Parenthood, would you? And he goes, well, then I know it's not God.
What?
Second, what?
What? No, dude.
How do you tell?
How do you tell?
Yeah, he's like, I've been getting better at telling which one is God and which one's just me.
No.
Have you ever considered that maybe it's both
it's all you?
Yeah, because if you have a strong enough emotional imperative to be a terrorist, then you will rationalize your way into saying that God's telling you to do it.
And people do.
Yeah.
And people do all the time. They're like, this is what God wants. Mm-hmm. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Who said?
God.
But where? Where did it come from? Where did you intercept it?
I can just
you.
tell. No, I can just tell.
You can.
Trust me. So I know that you're not saved. You're not a believer yet. But trust me, when God speaks to you, it's very clear when it's God. I can tell.
I am an ex-Catholic. I was raised a little Catholic girl with good habits. I went to church every Sunday, and I thought that like every time something good happened, it was the Holy Spirit, and if I got a thought, it was the Holy Spirit telling me what to do, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I decided to like let go of faith, I still got those thoughts.
Yeah.
I still. What are you? Is there like a time thing?
No, I'm just looking at. I'm just observing.
Oh, okay.
Cool. They can't see that, so we're just looking at. We're just looking to the right, and they're like, "What are they talking about?"
What are they talking about? It's a monitor.
Yeah.
But I still got those thoughts, and you know, if you believe that you are not in complete control of your brain, then like I can't argue with that. Who's to say? Who's to say, right? I personally think that my thoughts come from a place within myself that I actually have the power to know. Like, I have the power to know where those thoughts are coming from. It's very easy to give an explanation that's like, well, it's coming from somewhere else. It can't possibly be coming from me. But I'm a believer that, you know, you can sort of, if you sit with your feelings long enough, you'll know where they come from.
No, you can tell. It's just, and maybe it's hindsight bias. Maybe it's looking back and it's a couple years ago, so you're okay with admitting that you're a terrible person, or back then, so that you can say, well, no, that was actually done for selfish reasons. But yeah. I really do think that that every single time you say something, but your ulterior motive is not what you purport it to be, there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance in there. You can just sort of tell, you know what, I actually just want people to think I'm smart, and that's why I'm telling this story again. Yeah. You know, I'm actually like, sure, it's a funny story about how X person did something stupid, and it's genuinely funny, but you're telling that because subconsciously you want to seem better than them. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's us talking about how people want people to see them as better than other people. Yeah. Because we're like, oh, we're not like that.
Well, I am like that. It drives me insane. Like, what would happen is I would notice this correlation where if there's someone in the room who say I'm like kind of like romantically interested in, and I will only tell stories or say things in like a friendly way about like some other guy, but it'll have the moral of the story is like, oh, they did like something dumb or stupid. Right. Because I've got stories like that, and in the moment I think I'm just like telling a funny story, but then on the way out I think, Frank, you're an asshole. Yeah. You're trying to push away the competition. And it's because I have that subconscious motive.
Subconscious feeling. Yeah. Like, I will seriously be, like, if I'm on FaceTime with someone and I'm, like, focusing on what they're saying, I can totally be in pajamas with no makeup on, and I will still try and, like, sit in a way that makes me look okay. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's this subconscious thing, like, you want to be focusing on the things that are coming out of their mouth more than, like, how you look listening to them. Yeah. But there's, like, a little voice that's like, wait, no. Mm-hmm. Get the angle. Like, gotta get the light good. Yeah. Right?
And everyone sees you looking up and to the left, and they're like, wait.
Yeah. Well, you can make it so that if their, like, little viewfinder is on the right side, or if the little viewfinder is, like, close enough to the camera.
You've got a system. You figured this out.
Yeah.
You put a lot of thought into how to mask your vanity.
Yeah. Well, also, like, and then every time the other, like, subconscious, like, defense and rationalizing is that if they call you out, you're like, no. Yeah. I'm comfortable with you. Mm-hmm. And I can still be totally comfortable with you. But there's, like, a little, the little voice that's still, like, performing in a way that, like, I want to seem like I look good. Yeah, with no makeup on.
And there's this thing where you can do, maybe this isn't quite analogous to that, but you can be right about something, but then still have the wrong subconscious motive for it. Totally. You can do something legitimate that's helpful, but you can still have the actual reason why you're doing it isn't what's on the surface.
Yeah. Well, like the whole, like, oh, like, I'm empathetic to a fault thing. Yeah. 'Cause, like, on the surface, like, yeah, that should be a good thing. But your motive is not to actually be a good person. Your motive is that you want people to think that you're a good person. Yeah. Which, not the same at all. Because then, you know, people can think, oh, they're so empathetic, they're so forgiving, but you could still be like, rotten. I need to check what time it is. We never set the
timer. We never set the timer. It's 7:35 p.m.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in to the Judging Other People show with Frank Lilly and Ryan Liljenstolpe, where we tell you why the reasons you do things are not actually what you think they are.
We tell you how to live, and we tell you what your motivations are.
We call out all the worst people in the world.
They'll be bad.
Like people who believe in astrology and poets.
Dude, people who believe in astrology and poets, me.
Yeah, it's like people who say that they're forgiving to a fault. Fuck you.
Fuck
people
you,
who write poets, fuck you. And then all the neo-Nazis in the comments are like, wait, I'm cool then?
No, if you're a neo-Nazi, you're not cool.
Yeah.
I just want you to know.
But if you're an AP Lit...
If you're an AP Lit, we're good.
And with that, let's go off air.
Okay,
anyway,
bye.
thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a fantastic conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really good. Did you go off?
We're not off air. Going off air is always really awkward. But anyway, tune in every Friday, hopefully, and we'll have cool guests on and stuff.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah. There will be food, so please come.
Food?
No.
Aw.
It's digital. You can't eat food. You can't manipulate people the same way that you can with like a presentation about bees.
Club day? Wait. Do not bring this back to the bee project.
It's always back to the bee project.
No, that project slapped.
Because people are like, ooh, sugar.
No.
Me like sugar. Me vote for them. We built...
Oh my god!
We built a mock-up space elevator.
This took a turn. Oh my god. Wait.
We'll be done soon.
This was the real motive all along. Frank was like, come on the podcast. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll have a light conversation about fun topics.
Fun topics. And it just goes back to middle school. Hold on a second. We put so much work into that project.
Yeah, to manipulate people.
No!
Yes!
No! We were legitimately, like, we put so many different pieces together to try and make the best comprehensive presentation. Like, all of our different poster boards for the different like, we had an entire plan.
Yeah, we had an entire plan too. Ty and I
Shoot them up in a space elevator.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Ty and I built a thing that actually put a tiny little piece of a wooden dowel that actually made it launch. We had a whole mock-up of it. We had this great plan for how to have a more efficient way to launch things into space, into orbit, and
we made a mock-up too. We made a mock-up of our honeycomb design.
Yeah, and you fed people sugar.
No, that doesn't invalidate the other work we did, though.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not. Hang on a second. Are we still in the process?
We are still on air.
Wait, this took a turn. No,
A lot of people have no idea what we're talking about. Is the other thing. So,
yeah.
God, I don't want to explain. Okay, do you have to like go or something?
I have to make dinner.
Okay. Yeah, so that people will like your bee project. You can show them the dinner and hey, by the way, save the bees.
No. Oh my God. The moral of the story is that Frank is wrong.
The moral of the story is that if you have a project and you bribe people to vote for your project being better with sweet treats.
No one. We bribed no one.
You are a bad person.
What?
Yes.
Abby made a cookbook.
Yeah, you also, like, you can say whatever, you can be like, we cured cancer. If your Cure Cancer panel has, like, funny little cookies on it and like little cancer cell muffins and stuff, you're automatically just trying to like get brownie points from people.
Do you understand how like getting people to like you works?
Yes. You make food for people and then they like you. It's insidious.
Wait, so you just want to like overpower people with like pure like
yes.
Again on that level, like people, like you reach people by like connecting with them in some way that they'll like.
But it's like social, because look,
you can't get people to understand them.
When sugar goes on your taste buds, then it actually squirts some dopamine in your brain and people think, ooh, sugar, because our caveman brains are thinking, ooh, this fruit is ripe. When meanwhile they're eating like a pastry or something with tons of added sucrose in it.
I had no idea you had this much venom for the bee project.
I have more venom than is in the bee stinger for this bee project.
That's like a negligible amount.
Yes, that's why I said I have more. If I said I had less, that wouldn't be that much. If I said I had an equal amount.
I know, but just like the whole... No, because like you connect with people with things that they will like and understand. It's the whole conversation we had earlier about accessibility. If you have to like get someone to eat a treat to like listen to your presentation and then understand what they're saying, they're like, yeah, I agree with that. Then you still got them to understand what you're saying.
See, but that's not accessibility. If your project was actually accessible, you wouldn't need the crutch of food.
What?
Yes.
No.
You already do have a way better argument than me. I'm not gonna come around. You think that like if you argue your way out of this, I'm gonna change my mind. That's not gonna happen.
He knows he's wrong.
I'm right. But even if I weren't right, I would still think I'm right. If that makes any sense. Okay.
Which means we're going nowhere.
Stop streaming. Anyway, thank you for tuning in.
Bye.
If you see a bee